you listening?
Who are you?
Your worst nightmare.
Rambo III, 1988, wasn't just another action movie. It became a symbol of Cold War cinema, filled with chaos, controversy, and explosive behind-the-scenes stories. These untold truths reveal just how wild the making of this classic really was. Fact 1. When Rambo III was released, it was officially the most expensive movie ever made. The budget soared to over $60 million, which was staggering in 1988. Massive action scenes pushed the costs sky high. Real helicopters, tanks, and explosions were used. The desert conditions made filming harder and more expensive. Equipment often failed under the heat. The budget was stretched to the limit every day. Stallone himself received an enormous paycheck. His salary alone cost over $10 million. The scale of the movie shocked Hollywood insiders. It showed how far Carolco Pictures was willing to gamble. Critics called it the ultimate blockbuster risk. Audiences could see the money on screen. Every explosion felt massive and real. The production became a symbol of extravagance. It raised the stakes for future action films. Few movies dared to match its scale. But if money was staggering, Stallone's personal involvement pushed things even further. Fact 2.
What do you say, John? Fuck him.
Sylvester Stallone wasn't just the star of Rambo III. He co-wrote the screenplay and oversaw many production details. He wanted the movie to surpass Rambo. First Blood Part 2. Stallone designed sequences to be bigger and louder. His creative control was immense. He pushed for the desert setting. He demanded real military hardware. Stallone worked closely with stunt coordinators. He insisted on authenticity for the action. His perfectionism slowed filming at times. The cast and crew followed his vision closely. Stallone carried the weight of the movie on his shoulders. His determination shaped the final product. Without him, the movie would have been very different. He risked injuries during action scenes. He gave Rambo physical intensity and emotional weight. His fingerprints were on every frame. But while Stallone controlled much, the original director couldn't handle the chaos. Fact 3. Originally, Russell Mulcahy was hired as director. He was known for Highlander. But Mulcahy clashed with Stallone early on. Their creative visions didn't match. After just 2 weeks of filming, Mulcahy was fired. Stallone wanted tighter control. Carolco quickly replaced Mulcahy with Peter McDonald. McDonald was an experienced second-unit director. He had never directed a feature film before. Taking over such a huge production was daunting. He had to adapt quickly to Stallone's demands. Despite the turmoil, filming continued without pause. The crew scrambled to adjust. McDonald followed Stallone's lead closely. The switch nearly derailed the schedule. Yet the film reached completion under pressure. The director swap became part of its legend. But if directing was chaotic, the filming location was even harsher. Fact 4.
What is your name?
Rambo.
Where are you from?
Arizona.
Most of Rambo III was shot in Israel. The desert landscapes doubled for Afghanistan. The heat was brutal on cast and crew. Equipment constantly overheated. Water supplies were a constant concern. Actors sweated through their costumes. Makeup melted under the sun. Dust storms halted shooting more than once. Helicopters struggled in the wind. Stallone pushed through grueling conditions. The realism came at a cost. Crew members suffered exhaustion. Injuries were common during stunts. The desert added authenticity to every frame. Its harshness mirrored Rambo's struggle. The location became another character in the film. The suffering added realism to the action. But if nature was brutal, the stunts themselves were even more dangerous. Fact 5. Rambo III relied on practical stunts. Explosions went off just feet away from Stallone. Real helicopters flew dangerously low. Stallone performed many of his own stunts. He was nearly injured several times. One fight sequence left him badly bruised. Horses proved unpredictable during action scenes. Extras faced real risks in battle shots. Safety standards weren't what they are today. The danger gave the movie its raw edge. Stallone thrived on adrenaline. His stunts pushed him physically to the limit. The risk added authenticity on screen. Fans saw every bruise and scar in his performance. The intensity was unforgettable. But if stunts thrilled audiences, the violence shocked the world. Fact 6. The movie set a Guinness World Record for most on-screen explosions. It also broke the record for the highest body count in a film at that time. Hundreds of enemies were killed on screen. Critics accused the film of being excessively violent. Reviewers called it cartoonish in its brutality. Stallone defended the intensity. He said it reflected the horrors of war. The violence was both spectacle and message. Some audiences cheered the excess. Others were disturbed by it. The record became a marketing point. It reinforced the movie's over-the-top reputation. Action fans embraced the chaos. The violence was a defining element. It pushed the genre into new territory. But if violence shocked critics, politics sparked even bigger debates. Fact 7. Rambo III was set during the Soviet-Afghan War. Rambo fought alongside Afghan rebels known as the Mujahideen. At the time, they were U.S. allies against the Soviets. The movie painted them as freedom fighters. Later history complicated that portrayal. Some of those groups evolved into extremists. Critics accused the film of propaganda. It became politically embarrassing after the Cold War ended. Stallone later distanced himself from the politics. The movie became a strange Cold War artifact. Its message aged awkwardly. It showed how films reflect their time. The political undertones remain controversial today. But while politics divided audiences, the action united fans worldwide. Fact 8. The film opened strong internationally. It grossed over $180 million worldwide. It performed especially well in Europe and Asia. Audiences loved Stallone's larger-than-life hero. The international appeal saved the movie financially. In the U.S., box office returns were weaker. Critics there were harsh on the movie. Still, the global market embraced it. Rambo had become a worldwide icon. The film proved his popularity across cultures. Stallone remained a superstar internationally. The box office helped Carolco survive financially. It confirmed the strength of global audiences. Rambo became a true international franchise. But while audiences paid, critics weren't impressed. Fact 9. Critics attacked Rambo III on release. They called it shallow and excessive. Many dismissed it as mindless violence. Reviews focused on its lack of story. Some critics mocked its politics. Stallone received mixed comments on his performance. Action fans, however, defended the spectacle. They said critics missed the point. The divide reflected changing tastes in cinema. Audiences wanted escapism, not subtlety. The backlash hurt its U.S. reputation. It was compared unfavorably to earlier Rambo films, yet its legacy as an action spectacle grew. The negativity couldn't erase its box office power. Over time, fans reevaluated it. They saw it as peak 1980s action excess. But if reviews were harsh, Stallone himself suffered during production. Fact 10. Stallone pushed his body to extremes. He performed stunts in brutal conditions. During one scene, he was thrown hard against a wall. He tore muscles in his side. Doctors warned him to slow down. Stallone refused and kept filming. His commitment was legendary. Bruises and cuts were common. The desert heat drained his strength. He still insisted on physical authenticity. Pain became part of his process. Crew members admired his toughness. Injuries made his performance more convincing. The risk gave Rambo credibility. Stallone proved unstoppable on screen. But while he endured pain, the production itself faced near collapse. Fact 11.
We're trying to make this as realistic as possible.
The shoot was plagued with delays. Equipment constantly broke in the desert. Explosions had to be reset multiple times. Helicopter sequences were risky and slow. Actors struggled with exhaustion. The crew faced endless problems. Tempers flared under pressure. Stallone's perfectionism slowed progress. The director fought to stay on schedule. Costs spiraled higher each week. The studio worried about disaster. Rumors of cancellation spread. Yet the team pushed forward. Their determination carried the project. Every finished scene felt like a victory. The film's survival was a miracle. But even as they struggled, the scale kept expanding. Fact 12. The movie used real Soviet-style helicopters. Many were actually American machines modified to look Russian. Tanks were brought onto set for realism. Explosions involved tons of real ammunition. The logistics were staggering. Crews had to coordinate military-sized maneuvers. Pilots flew dangerously close to actors. Real horses were used in charging sequences. The hardware gave the film authenticity. It made battles look enormous. The risk was constant for everyone involved. Insurance costs skyrocketed. Audiences felt the realism instantly. Critics acknowledged the spectacle. The equipment turned the desert into a war zone. But while hardware looked impressive, it also made politics impossible to ignore. Fact 13.
You realize you're the first American captured in Afghanistan. Congratulations.
By the time the film was released, global politics had shifted. The Soviet Union was collapsing. Cold War tensions were easing. The movie felt out of step with reality. Its message seemed outdated overnight. Critics mocked its timing. The portrayal of Afghan rebels became controversial. History moved faster than Hollywood. The film became an odd time capsule. Its propaganda value faded quickly. What once looked heroic became questionable. Stallone admitted later the story aged poorly. The Cold War setting no longer resonated. Audiences looked at it differently after the 1990s. But despite politics, the action kept the movie alive. Fact 14. The movie's action set pieces were monumental. One battle involved dozens of helicopters. Another climaxed with tanks and horses colliding. Explosions lit up the desert sky. Stallone fought hand-to-hand with brutal force. Each scene escalated the spectacle. Practical effects dominated every frame. CGI didn't exist in 1988. The danger felt immediate. Audiences were stunned by the scale. No other film matched its intensity. The action became its selling point. Critics admitted the sequences were impressive. Even detractors respected the spectacle. The film cemented its place in action history. But behind the explosions, small details added hidden depth. Fact 15. Despite being over the top, the film had moments of detail. Real military advisors consulted on weapons. Uniforms were designed to look authentic. Stallone insisted on proper handling of firearms. Horses were trained for combat stunts. Even minor props looked realistic. The mix of detail and spectacle gave balance. Veterans noted some surprising accuracy. The desert camp scenes reflected reality. Tactics were loosely based on guerrilla warfare. These details gave it weight. It wasn't just noise and explosions. Care was taken behind the chaos. This surprised many critics. Audiences sensed its effort. But while detail impressed, censorship created battles outside the screen. Fact 16. Many countries objected to the violence. Some demanded cuts to reduce brutality. Certain scenes were heavily edited overseas. Governments disliked the political undertones. In the UK, censors trimmed graphic deaths. Other countries banned the film entirely. The controversy boosted its fame. People wanted to see what was hidden. The violence became part of the marketing. Stallone defended the raw content. He said war shouldn't be sanitized. Critics argued over censorship's role. The debates added fuel to its legend. Each cut version varied across markets. The controversy gave it lasting notoriety. But while censors debated, Stallone's star power only grew. Fact 17. By 1988, Stallone was one of the biggest stars alive. The Rambo and Rocky franchises made him iconic. Rambo III cemented his image as action royalty. His face was on posters worldwide. Merchandise sold across continents. Fans saw him as a symbol of toughness. He was larger than life on and off screen. The movie proved his dominance. Critics mocked, but audiences adored him. Stallone represented Cold War heroism. His physique defined the action era. Even with mixed reviews, he remained bankable. International markets fueled his superstardom. His influence shaped 1980s cinema. Rambo was part of his legacy forever. But superstardom couldn't save Kuroko Pictures from financial trouble. Fact 18. Kuroko Pictures staked everything on Rambo III. The studio poured unprecedented money into it. Success was crucial for survival. The gamble paid off internationally. But U.S. returns disappointed executives. Critics predicted financial collapse. Kuroko survived but carried debt. The risk haunted the studio later. Big spending became its downfall. Rambo III symbolized both triumph and danger. It reflected Hollywood excess. Kuroko's gamble defined the era. The studio's fate mirrored the movie's themes. Victory came at a cost. The financial strain shaped its legacy. But while the studio struggled, Rambo's image lived on. Fact 19. Rambo III became infamous in pop culture. It symbolized 1980s action excess. The body count became a joke in parodies. Hot Shots! Part 2 mocked its violence. Video games borrowed its style. Action heroes imitated its spectacle. The film became shorthand for excess. It showed both glory and absurdity. Critics reevaluated it as campy fun. Fans embraced its ridiculous scale. Stallone's Rambo remained iconic. The headband and bow became symbols. Pop culture never forgot its imagery. Even with flaws, it defined an era. Its legacy grew stranger over time. But beyond pop culture, the film's darker truths came from history itself. Fact 20. In the end, Rambo III became a Cold War relic. It reflected a moment that quickly passed. The politics aged poorly within a few years. Its portrayal of allies became controversial. Yet its actions stood the test of time. The movie became part of cinematic history. It symbolized excess, risk, and spectacle. Audiences still debate its message. Scholars study its political context. Fans celebrate its adrenaline rush. The film stands frozen in the late 1980s. It remains one of Stallone's most explosive roles. Its story is tied to global history. It's both celebrated and mocked. Its contradictions keep it alive. Rambo III was bigger than cinema. It was a cultural explosion, and that's why it remains unforgettable today.